we can start. So as Ati mentioned, there is a new division here at Link, and it's called DataLinc, where our focus will be business intelligence. You might have been familiar with one of the other links. We've got a produce link. Sorry, should have met the people. We've got a produce link, we've got a farm link, we've got a wine link, but now by popular demand, there is a new link, and that is DataLinc. And as I mentioned, with a focus on business intelligence and making the most out of your data. I'll be getting into more detail on this later in the presentation. So the goals for today, we want to address data challenges that businesses are facing today and see if some of them apply to you. We want to look at how our division seeks to overcome these challenges. We also want to explore some of the technologies we'll be using to empower us to tackle them. And then at the end, we'll look at next steps and how we can get started. So Ati already did a short intro of me, but I'll give you the long version. My name is VM Swart. I'm the new head of business intelligence at Link. I have 6 years of experience working in this data field, 4 of them being in business intelligence, working with tools like Power BI, Looker Studio, Python, Azure, SQL, the works. So this involves building projects end to end. That means getting the data from the raw system, building pipelines, transforming that data, storing it, and reporting on it. And the other leg of my career is data engineering. So 2 years before this, I was doing data engineering with a company called Ringier. It's a Swiss media company with lots of media brands around the world. We used a service called Palantir, which is an all-in-one data solution that was used to manage this mounds of data that was being generated by their online brands. So I've got a bit of experience in data, and I've seen a few of the solutions, and I'll be the one that is managing data projects end to end at Link. So with all this talk of business intelligence, let me get into what business intelligence is. It's just a term that keeps getting thrown around a lot. Let's use a very simple metaphor of how gold is created, or the refinement of gold. So you need to have, everything starts as a raw material. So you've got your ore, your raw ore, it's dispersed, it's lying everywhere. It needs to be extracted. You need to find it, extract it, and then it needs to be processed. It needs to be processed to get from the ore into a 9-karat gold, into a 18-karat gold, into a 24-karat gold. And that's what the high-level process looks like. With business intelligence, it's quite similar. But instead of ore, we're using ore and raw materials, we're using raw data. So it's the process of getting the raw data, ingesting the raw data, processing it, like putting your business logic on it, putting extra information on it, adjusting it and tweaking it so that at the end you can get your product, which is your ability to use data and your golden insights from your information. So let's look at data challenges that the world is facing. And I'm going to introduce you to the information explosion dilemma. So on the chart below here, you can see the amount of data generated over the last 15 years, starting in 2010 to 2025. The number only keeps growing. It keeps getting bigger. And every year that we don't tackle data, it gets harder and harder to keep pace with it. And on my next slide, I've actually got a pretty high spec like representation of what I think data is going to look like in 2026. So as you can see, very detailed. It's only going to get bigger and badder and more. So we need to kind of start looking into the problem and how we can look at fixing it. But let's get specific now. Let's look at some data management difficulties that companies face. So with all this information, it should be your benefit, but it's actually your burden. And some reasons for that are scattered data. So your data lies in multiple systems. It's lying in people's laptops, in Excel spreadsheets, on online portals, in databases, and all spread out throughout your company. it usually is stagnant and it's rotting in the systems. We're not getting the value we need out of it. Secondly, stale insights. By the time you receive any kind of insights or information on your data, it's been way too late. So the event happened a while ago. The data that was generated was stored, but before you could actually get any information on it, too much time has passed. This is usually because there are too many systems in place. So there's too much leapfrogging between systems to move the data. And there's usually poor orchestration or no orchestration on how to move your data. Additionally, conflicting truths. So in business intelligence, this is something that can be quite common, where you give a stakeholder a report, and on the first one, life is great, the company's doing well, let's go for beers, let's go have a pizza party, it's time to celebrate. And then an hour later, another report comes back, and it says the company is doing terrible, and we need to cancel the pizza party, put the beers back on ice, there's no more party time. Things look different. So we have conflicting reports, and it's usually because there are two sources of truth. And this can be extremely frustrating for stakeholders and lead to a lot of mistrust when it comes to data and reporting. Another difficulty is limited growth potential. So with how companies are working with their data currently, they don't have strong foundations. So they see AI is here, predictive modeling is here, you hear about it in the news, all the largest companies in the world are using it, but you unfortunately feel locked out. Like, I don't know where to start, I can't get going. And one significant thing that these companies have is they've got a very strong data foundation. Their data is extremely clean, and they've got the systems that can process it effectively. They've got a very strong base for growth, even past things like what we can see now, like machine learning, and they're ready for the next 10 years, essentially. And then the next thing is overwhelming complexity. So when a lot of companies want to start their data journey, there are too many clouds, too many tools, things that have to be built from scratch. It makes it very hard to get started. So let's say you pick your cloud, then you must start building your networking, you must build your relevant data structures from scratch. There's a lot of questions about, have I built it correctly? Is it cost optimal? Will it be able to handle future problems? Or is there monitoring on it? There's a lot more than just picking a cloud and pushing generate database. So that complexity also makes it very difficult for these companies. And that's the reason that we created the new division, DataLinc. We're here to address those challenges. And as I mentioned, by popular demand, we've been hearing a lot from our customers that want to use more with their data. And we can see that their data is only growing and growing. And this division is specifically made for that use case. We've got three main missions that we want to accomplish. One is to reduce the complexity of your current data landscape. We want to make data simple for you. We don't want it to be a headache anymore. Two, we want to provide the latest technology optimized for cost and performance. It needs to run like a dream, and you should only be paying for what you are using. And then three, we need to speed up time to insights, focusing on guidance and adoption. So we don't want you guys to start this journey from scratch, bump your head a million times, and then after a year get insights. We want to hold your hand, take it to the end, and also make sure that the things that we build, your company is using. There's no point in us building these amazing tools and then nobody uses them or doesn't know how to use them. So that guidance and adoption are very big points for us. And the tool that we want to use to enable us to do this is a tool called Microsoft Fabric, which is a brand new offering from Microsoft that was built to be this data management platform, and we want to use it for our BI offering. And essentially what we're going to be providing is data as a service on this tool. So what is Microsoft Fabric? It's an all-in-one data platform for handling your data needs, from organizing it to getting insights. It's where all data will be ingested into and stored. And most importantly, it has all the tools to refine and use your data to its full capacity. This will be DataLink's primary tool for BI. So let me explain a bit deeper. I can't just say, hey, that's Fabric and that's what we're going to use. I'm going to go into detail now. So on my previous slide, how I explained how business intelligence works, how it's the process of refining raw data into very good insights. I'm going to try and put that on a schematic here that's relevant to Fabric. So this is a very, very high level schematic of what the Fabric infrastructure can look like. You've got your data sources, which is outside of Fabric, prepare and transform, which is in Fabric, and then analyze and predict would be within Fabric. So now in a BI specific context, I'll show you how your data will flow through this process, how you're going to get this raw data and turn it into your golden insights. So in the first step, we're going to use tools like Data Factory to ingest data from your company sources. It's going to be your databases, your file systems, your Excel, your business apps. There are a lot of connectors on Fabric, and we're going to use Data Factory to bring all that data into Fabric. Then when it comes into Fabric, it needs to go and land in the relevant data layers. So there are multiple data sources, ways that we can land data. That can be in a lakehouse, a warehouse, open mirroring. There's any database we can actually dream of that's there. So then we've successfully extracted our data. And then the next step would be to start processing it, applying transformations on it. And for this, we're going to use the data engineering tools and functionalities within Fabric, which is Spark Notebooks, data jobs, and we're going to apply that business logic, clean it, and transform it to get that data into like a 9 karat gold. Then from there, now our data is in a cleaner state. Now we can start really getting that business value out of it. So we can use tools like Power BI, real-time dashboards, and AI and ML tools to really get that value out of our data. So we're going to get an idea of what happened, what is happening, and what is going to happen with those 3 tools, and at the end of our data journey. We unfortunately don't just get there overnight. Okay, so I've introduced Fabric, I've introduced DataLinc. So let's come back to the information explosion. So we know data is growing, and it's just, we're going to have waves and waves of information that's going to be hitting us over the next few years. And I've got another detailed model of how I think DataLinc and Fabric is going to deal with this complexity. So there you can see I recommend that we ride the wave. With all this information that's coming at this high volume, DataLinc and Fabric, we're going to act like your surfboard to help you cruise through all this data so that it can actually be something beneficial and something easy to use. And we aim to do this by simplifying the data journey for you, by solving complexity with the concept of one, not many, complex, one. For example, we're going to use one lake for all our data. So just how you might already have a OneDrive on your computer that you send files up and down to, you're going to now have a thing called One Lake in Fabric. It's like the OneDrive for your data. All your business systems that generate information, your reporting, it's all going to live in one lake, and there's going to be one central hub for where your data is stored. Another important point about One Lake is that all the tooling that Fabric uses is going to read and write to One Lake. So your data operations and your data storage are very close to one another. Then we want to have one platform for all the users. So in the current landscape, if people need to get access to data or need to work with data, they need to download multiple tools, they need to have a VS Code, or they need to run it on their own interpreter, they need to connect to databases here, go to web portals there. We want to simplify this by only having one platform for your users and one URL literally. So whatever your user is doing, if they are doing data engineering processes or they are consuming reports, they'll come to one location and it'll be tailored for them. So for example, you can see I've got BI here, data engineering, data warehousing, whatever your functional person is, what your organization might have, Fabric can cater for them and I'll give a tailored experience for them. So that simplicity of all these systems is now reduced into one platform. And then importantly, one professional data team to manage it all. We'll make sure that you're properly set up to win and don't waste time and money before getting insights. It's a new platform that is constantly changing and improving. We'll monitor all these changes and make sure you get the best of it. We're also going to provide guidance on best practice to make sure users are using it correctly. And we'll be keeping our ear to the ground regarding features, keep up all your systems to date. Keep all your systems up to date. We're going to be there reading the documentation, watching all the videos, and making sure that we are staying up to pace with Fabric, because this is a massive system that is only growing bigger and bigger with new features coming and going the whole time. And then very importantly, we're going to offer this service as a group. And the value of that is there's going to be group benefits to it. So when we apply and get multiple clients onto Fabric, when we do the upgrades for them, we can learn the upgrading process and we can apply upgrades along everyone. If there are bug fixes, let's say client A has a problem with one of their pipelines, we'll fix that there and then apply it to everyone. So the idea is that we apply this, our one data team and our logic onto all of our clients, and then we can all benefit from governance, maintenance, collective fixes, and business adoption. So all the clients will need to get people within their business to start using Fabric. And we'll have a lot of use cases of how we've seen how people at this company struggle to get people to use dashboards because of this issue. Let's say it was too hard to get off of Excel and now get onto Fabric. Then we'll learn from that and then apply that same learning to any other company downstream that also needs to do this adoption and faces these challenges. So yeah, the group benefit is quite important. The idea is that as we learn stuff at relevant clients and partners, we apply it within the whole group, and that's setup, upgrades, fixes, licensing. If we can get cheaper prices on licensing, we figure that out and we apply it to everyone. Maintenance, if we are providing systems and we figure out a faster way to do it, then we apply it to everyone. So this group benefit is a big part of our offering. Okay, so we've been through now how to simplify it, but let's look back at this slide of these data management difficulties and see how DataLinc and Fabric can take this on. So as we saw, scattered data was the issue, stale insights, not getting my data fast enough, conflicting truths. I've got two different reports that are telling me different things, frustrating me a lot. And then overwhelming complexity. I don't know where to start. Sorry, I also missed one there. Limited growth potential. I want to go into the future, but I don't have the base to move on from there. So let's look at the DataLinc solution. So from scattered data, we're going to be unifying the data with OneLake and Fabric. All your systems that lie all over the place are now going to be stored in one location. You'll still have those systems running and operational, but they're going to be feeding into Fabric so that for the BI process and data analysis, everything is in one hub, making it easier to deal with this scattered data problem. Then next, for stale insights, or you're not getting information at a fast enough pace, we're going to rely on Fabric and the benefits of it. Since our data orchestration tools and our data where it's actually stored is within the same platform, it means it's physically faster to move it, and also complexity and structurally faster because we can see the data assets and we can move it and build on it within one platform. So no more waiting for, okay, how do I get this? And you give me this sheet and I send it there. It's just a matter of it's in one platform. The tools can read and write directly from it. And we can also find what we're looking for a lot faster. Another thing worth mentioning is technically, on a pure read and write speed, the OneLake and Fabric is built on data lake parquets, which is the data storage standard for storing large amounts of data. So it's going to make it faster to read data, to write data, and to also do change management on how data is changing, if things are being updated or appended. And it's currently the latest and greatest, and Microsoft's offering now for very fast storage. So that's also going to help, especially with report refreshes and processing data, which is going to help get us more real time with our insights, instead of having to wait. Everything chops down this time to insights. Then for conflicting truths, where we had two versions of the truth. We had life is great and things are terrible. We're going to solve this by creating a single source of truth, which is going to be a overarching semantic model within your Fabric workspace. So a semantic model is technically, you can think of it as a network of connections. So where you have your relevant data tables or business tables, you've got finance tables, you've got operational tables. All of these tables would exist, and then we'd form links and connections to each one of them on primary keys, foreign keys, so that there's this very large relational cloud of how all these entities interact with each other, so that when it comes to reporting, we don't run into a solution of two versions of the truth because we were going to two different sources or we had the relationships off. We'll go to a single version of the truth that you can use for the reporting tools like Power BI, real-time dashboards, and for AI, because it doesn't help you build these assets and these tools, but it's built on bad foundations. This is a large part of the foundation for building your reports and for continually providing accurate information to stakeholders and operational people. Next, as I mentioned, limited growth potential. All these big companies are doing all this cool stuff, predictive learning, AI. It's not fair that only they get to reap the benefits of these latest tools. So our solution is to back the right horse. So Microsoft Fabric is Microsoft's answer to how do we get data into the future? How do we also deal with the current problems of data? So Link is backing them, and we're quite confident that it's a big enough company that's providing a really good solution here, and it's going to help us simplify the current data journey and also take us into the future, letting us walk closer towards that golden layer, or that golden refinement of data that I explained in the BI process of where we want to get. Ultimately, this AI-powered analytics, where we don't want to see what happened a month ago. We want to see what's going to happen in the future. And the more data we can process and analyze, the better our predictions are going to get. So that's what we want to do with this future-ready foundation of ours. Then overwhelming complexity. So you don't know where to start. Systems all over the place. You have to build things from scratch. Our solution is come with our complexity of one. We're solving the complexity with the idea of one. So one lake for all the data. All the data is going to live in one place. One platform for all the users to go to, and then one professional data team to make sure that everything is working as it should, and to get you going as fast as possible to get those data insights. And that's essentially our whole plan for how we're going to clarify and control your data for you and make it easier for everyone to use the data. So next steps. So currently, we've got a few clients that are using the SQL Data Warehouse tool that is exporting data from Business Central. So we have some operations that are doing a bulk export out of BC to a SQL Data Warehouse. There's some tools that the clients have configured. And what we want to do is upgrade the system. And instead of exporting the data from BC into a SQL Data Warehouse, we want to start exporting data into Fabric. It's going to be a lot faster to move the data into Fabric, and it's going to be a lot more future-proof. So it's going to be your first step in the data journey, getting your data into Fabric, and it's still going to be BI friendly, so Power BI friendly. and you'll be able to convert your existing reports. Yeah, that's our first main goal. That is on our roadmap and something we want to achieve. So you can look out for that. We'll probably be sending you messages. And then if you want to find out more and you want to get started with this fabric, please send me an email. Let's book a detailed use case session and look at how your company's unique requirements, how you plan on using your data, what challenges you're currently facing, and then we'll come up with a plan and we'll get you on Fabric. Thanks. Let's take some time for questions if we still have some time.
While we wait for any questions to come through, thank you from me. Thanks, VM, for that very informative overview. Maybe just from my side to summarize a few things that VM has said. First of all, what we're describing here and what we're going to be offering is a data engineering and a data cleansing and a business intelligence offering that most companies like yourselves, most of the client base of Link won't typically be able to, or rather would not typically invest in this technology and resources internally to run this. It's very much considered an enterprise level activity. And much like we do with most of the things at Link, this is why we've always offered shared services offerings, is we're trying to bring enterprise level capabilities in terms of data and business intelligence down to the mid-market, which is the broad stroke of our customers fall into that category, by offering it as a shared service. So by doing this, we make it possible for you to get enterprise level business intelligence capabilities in your organization without having to invest individually in people and teams and tools to achieve that. So that's a very important point, and that's why we're doing this. Second point I want to make is this is not just a simple replacement of our current data warehouse solution. This is not just an offering that's going to take your data out of BC, put it in a place where you can find it, and then you're left to your own devices in terms of what you do with that data. The journey that VM is talking about is precisely looking at your entire organization, looking at all of your business intelligence needs now and in the future, and then engineering from the top down back to how will we achieve that? Where do we need to get the data from? How must we structure that data? How must we model that data so that there's a single source for reporting of all kinds? And that takes a lot of engineering, and it takes a lot of planning and execution, which is what we'll do. So those 2 points to clarify. We have 2 questions. The first question is from Olwetu. What is the key difference between OneLake and DataLake? VM, do you want to maybe try and answer that question?
Yes, sure. So DataLake is more of a engineering concept where you can store unstructured and structured data. So DataLake was first technically. So it allowed for the ability to store structured data like hard tables, SQL databases. That was kind of the format, as well as unstructured data, CSV files, Parquet files that can grow and change in spec. That was OneLake. The other one was
OneLake and DataLake.
DataLake, sorry. That's DataLake. DataLake was that functionality. OneLake is an extension of a DataLake essentially. It's now built an abstraction deeper to be used with the actual tools that Fabric uses. So it still operates the same as a data lake, but it's less of a tool that you interact with and more of a background process, an underlying toolkit that powers all of the storage on Fabric.
Okay, I hope that's clear.
It's technical.
Henko Haystack asks if, in terms of data sources, whether things like Smartsheet would be a plugin or a data source that one could bring into this landscape. and he's guessing that Microsoft products like SQL Server and Business Central will be working. The answer to that question is yes and yes and yes. There are thousands upon thousands of connectors already in the Fabric space that allow you to get data from virtually, I'm gonna go as bold as to say virtually any data source on the planet. It's very extensive. And then Philip wants to know if the Link data warehouse is already in Fabric. No, it is not. As VM explained, we're currently housing that in an Azure hosted SQL database. Strictly, it's within the realm of Fabric. Fabric can see it and connect to it, but we're going to actually transition all of our data warehouse customers out of that SQL database and into Fabric and into this one lake environment where the data is going to be cleaned and stored. We've got one more question, Darren Bain. Would there be additional licensing needed on a per user level that will be accessing the data? From a Power BI reporting standpoint, will that functionality and access be moved solely to the Fabric portal? So the specific pricing model and the pricing rates we are still working on, but I think VM can give you just an in principle heads up on how we see this shared service benefiting our customers, particularly from a licensing standpoint. One of the options we are investigating is offering a lot of the Power BI reporting that your end users would consume through what is called an embedded Power BI service. And VM, if you just want to touch on the principle of how that billing would work and benefit our customers, please.
Yeah. So one primary upgrade of Fabric, because Fabric is almost like superseding Power BI, and there's like a slow shift that Power BI becomes less relevant and Fabric becomes the new thing. With Fabric, you get a thing called the capacity, which is like a computer, like one of the servers here behind me. You get a computer of a certain size, and with that computer, you now don't have to have licenses for all your report viewers. That computer will manage all the viewers from the thing. So where you had one license for the Power BI developer and 5 licenses for the report viewers, you now only need 1 license for the report developer. And then those 5 users, their reads and writes from the report will be done by the Fabric capacity, which is the engine that Fabric is built on. So in terms of licensing, it should get better.
Yeah. So what that translates to in simple terms is, if you subscribe to our DataLinc service, and we will also announce the pricing and all the different levels, the idea is that you should not have to be licensed separately for Power BI viewers, and to an extent we may even include the Power BI developers, in other words, report writers, in that. So it's an all-encompassing shared cost offering, which is designed to make the licensing of all of this, the tooling and all of the abilities for you to get your data out and interact with your data, to make that seamless for you, to simplify the billing, and to do it on a shared cost basis, which means that no individual customer is effectively bearing the brunt of these expensive services from Microsoft. We are pooling all of that into one pool and sharing the cost, which is going to make it very attractive for everybody. Hope that clears it up, Jared. I don't have any more questions in the Q&A, so VM, I think you can wrap up if you like.
Yeah, thanks for everyone coming. Send me email. Let's get talking, and yeah, we can look a bit further in a detailed session.
Yes, thank you very, very much. And the recording should be available or should be emailed to the attendees afterwards. Thank you, Sandra, for your for your enthusiasm. If it doesn't for any reason, please reach out to VM afterwards, and I'm sure he'll happily share it with you. Have a good weekend, and thank you very much for attending on a cold, wet Friday in the first week of school holidays. It's quite an impressive turnout to have had 56 people attending. Thank you very much.